There.
I see the light. I'm going to heaven. I'm coming.
For only
That's-
90 minutes.
Right.
Or
Then I'm coming back and being a pissed off dude.
for 400 minutes, like the length of this movie.
Holy
90
shit.
minutes is a lie. That's a total lie. This movie's a lot longer than that. I don't think this movie should have the words 90 minutes in the title. That's incredibly misleading.
Exactly.
We got out of 90 Minutes in Heaven, which is basically not as hilarious as War Room. You kind of miss
really
out on War Room.
Not
man.
really hilarious at all.
Oh, well, other than we were the only ones there and could say whatever the fuck we wanted
Right.
to during the movie.
That would have been a funner review than this, man. We could just sit there with a riff track, just have the camera pointed at us the whole time.
Just have the camera right behind us, just silhouetted over the screen.
Yeah.
Why the fuck not? I realize you're not supposed to bootleg movies in the theater, but this really doesn't feel like something I should be seeing in the theater.
No.
Like most of these movies. This movie is like, you know what this felt like to me? Like I was watching the Asylum's version of Heaven is for Real. Did you see Heaven is for Real?
No.
I mean,
But I mean, it's just like any of these. I died, went to heaven.
yeah, I mean, except it's a little kid in that movie, so he, like, you know, doesn't really say his L's right and says them as W's to make it cute and shit. And it's Greg Kinnear.
I
And
love
Greg
you,
Kinnear was
Dad.
awesome. Greg Kinnear was kind of awesome because Greg Kinnear kind of treated the material like it was a horror film. Like the kid just discovered white noise.
Nice.
So that was kind of, you know, that was kind of great. But like, at least that movie, while corny and not very good, I mean, it was one of the better of these kind of movies. But it at least certainly did feel like there was a budget involved with it. This movie, it doesn't seem like it's been that long since I like heard this movie was announced. And then in watching this movie feels so cheap. This movie feels so slapped together. Like at the last minute, they just picked a few locations, kind of dressed them up a little differently, went on eBay and got some old McDonald's containers and made this like 2-hour movie out of it. Like this movie is totally made off the heels of Heaven is for Real not doing that bad at the box office. There's honestly really nothing to this movie.
No, you spend 2 hours in a movie, and an hour and 40 minutes is him being just a depressed little shit.
Yeah.
And then the last 20 minutes talking about how he went to heaven.
Oh, yeah. This movie feels more like the moral of it is to how to cope with a fixator than it is
Right.
it is like about any kind of faith, really. Like hell, at the ending scene of it before it cut to the actual guy, was him seeing another young dude in the church who had one of those fixators on his leg as well, and he's talking to him about coping with that pain.
How much it
and
hurts, and
that's what this movie feels like. It feels like this is way more about just kind of coping with having this fixator on your leg. Because Heaven is for Real was at least like, okay, the kid like kind of dies and then he comes back and says he was in heaven, but then it kind of deals with some people in the town believe him, some don't. The dad's not really sure if this happened, but he wants to start like preaching about it and telling people that like at least like there's a bunch of different stuff going on.
Right.
And some kind of discussions about like from different people talking about whether or not they believe him. This movie is just the guy starts the movie out as a decent human being and ends the movie as a decent human being. There's really no like kind of arc in this at all. No. Like he's a minister, he gets in a car accident, he's in the hospital for like several months, gets out, and in the last, wouldn't you say like the last 20 minutes of the movie?
If that.
Yeah.
If that.
In the last 20 minutes of the movie is when he says like, oh, by the way, I saw heaven. And the dude is like, okay, well, why don't you tell your wife? And he's like, okay. So he tells his wife. The end.
Pretty much. And
this is, even for one of these movies, this feels super cheap. And I saw War Room a couple of weeks ago. Like, this movie is maybe better acted than War Room is. I wouldn't say the dialogue is much better in this movie.
no. He's a fucking shit for the entire time he's in the hospital. Like a complete, utter douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, let's pretend that I believe this bullshit. Which, let's pretend I believe that you did not breathe and your heart stopped for 90 minutes, nobody performed CPR on you, yet you miraculously revived.
I love the priest, though, or not the priest, but the guy
prayer
who prays
warrior.
him back, who, like, tears apart the car to get inside of it. Damn!
So, never mind the fact that the longest record of someone ever had their heart stopped was 96 minutes, but that was with continuous CPR. And shocking, and, actually trying to revive him. He sat in a car for 90 minutes with nobody touching him, except to sit there and put their forefinger and middle finger up to his neck to check for a pulse. Are you trying to tell me that 90 minutes, you didn't have anything performed on you? You sat there brain dead and your heart stopped for 90 minutes and you just miraculously woke back the fuck up?
Maybe he wasn't brain dead, though. I mean, it was a terrible accident. Maybe the guy just reached his hand in and took the pulse of the steering wheel.
I mean, that's true. More than likely, it was just like everything else in Texas. It's stupid, fucked up. They fucked up. They didn't want to admit it. Then they're like, oh, wait a minute, he's got a pulse. Maybe it was just a weak pulse. So he was in and out of consciousness and had a fucking fever dream about all these people, including the first girl to give him a blowjob. I don't fucking know.
The little redhead girl.
The little redhead girl. She was a hot number. But
what was her story? Like, I know why everyone else is up there meeting him, because he gives us a 30-minute backstory on all of them.
She died of lockjaw.
Oh God! Well, that's what the 90 minutes in heaven in the title means.
There you go. But he comes back, and he's just a complete asshole to his wife because she's trying to help him fucking live.
Yeah, he feels like screwed over because he saw heaven and then got kicked out. And heaven in this is basically people giving really weird looks at the camera. Actually, there's a lot of really weird looks in this movie. Hell, at the beginning when he gets in the car accident, it's like a freeze frame. Gets in the car accident, Hayden Christensen's mouth goes like towards the camera, and it's kind of like a ooh,
up against the steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I really. I wish I had taken my camera out to take a picture. Like I've seen a lot of things, but I really didn't need to see a theatrical size screen of mustached Hayden Christensen looking dead into the camera and giving a really weird look with pearly gates and sunlight in the background.
Yeah.
He looked like the slightly more Christian version of the Master from Manos.
Okay, I can definitely see that. Now that's in my head. Now that's
And we should talk about Hayden Christensen's mustache in this movie, because
you mean how it never fucking moves?
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
that's what I mean. This movie is so cheap.
So most human beings who have the capability of growing facial hair, if you do not trim it, it grows. I know this. Trust me.
Even someone like me who kind of grows piss poor facial hair.
Once you reach a certain age, it starts to grow. From day fucking 1 to day 150, it didn't change at all.
No.
Didn't get any thicker.
Neither did his hair, really.
No, his hair did none of it.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me that they're going in and cutting his fucking hair the whole time? Bullshit.
One of his presents when he gets out of the hospital is an electric razor. Somebody's been doing it. He is clean shaven through this whole movie, except for the mustache. The mustache that never grows, never gets shorter, never really gets all that disheveled. Neither does his hair, really. His hair really looks the same throughout this whole movie. Yeah. And I know that in any other movie, that might be kind of a nitpicky thing to say, but in this, that is just one of the many things that makes this movie feel super cheap. It makes it feel like this thing was just shot in a couple of rooms over the course of a weekend. Like, not only can you say that about his facial hair or his hair, but the makeup that's on his face. This makeup on his eye...
That bruised, the swollen shut,
it looked
eye.
like the female Grimace's vagina on his face, like big puffy purple, like
the cell phone that was in my eye at the cinema movie was better done than that fucking makeup. And I guarantee you, they paid a hell of a lot more. I almost guarantee you they did, and it looks like shit. And I'm just like, well, fuck, let's get Hank back out here. He'd do a better job of that.
Oh, wait, I feel really bad if Hank did the effects in this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. If he did, I'm sorry, Hank. You've done better work. But I don't think you did. I hope not, because, yeah. I can't imagine this is his cup of tea, but...
The way that it was lit, well, the way that it was lit on there, on his face, like, you could see where the eye starts, the makeup ends. It doesn't look human at all. It looks like something you'd find in a pod.
You know, if I was looking through that, like, on playback, and I saw the way that was lit, I'm like, let's draw the light down right there to kind of mask that a little bit. No. I mean, you might as well have a fucking spotlight on there.
And then there's his acting, too, which... Hayden Christensen he's one of those actors he's as good as the material that you give him.
Yeah.
I've seen him be fine in a movie. Hell, I've seen him be fine in another, like, operating movie. Like, if you want to see a movie where Hayden Christensen gets fucked up and he spends a lot of the movie on the operating table, watch Awake. That's a silly-ass movie, but it's entertaining. He's better in that movie than he is in this. In this, okay, you have to see him act really whiny. Again, we've seen him do that before.
Rent Star Wars Episode 2. And...
At least in that, he's whiny as fuck in those movies, and it's really funny in this that his two kids look like kid Jake Lloyd. Like, spitting image, look exactly like, well, honey, Anakin is the father. We're not going to tell you which Anakin. One of them. So... at least in, like, he had some other emotions when he was Anakin Skywalker. Not saying they were good, but there were some other emotions there.
There was a range.
Yeah, in this, it's an hour and 40 minutes of it is really just kind of him whining from the hospital room, but it's not even really all that convincing. It's a lot of, okay, his pain sounds are the exact sounds that you would give if you were getting 90 minutes in heaven from the best hooker that you've spent whatever the budget of this movie is.
Well, and there are a couple top-down shots where it's just his midsection up, and he's got his O face on. And I'm just like, is he getting head from a nurse right now? Like, is she doing a prostate massage? Is this sanctioned by the hospital? What? It's.
There was one shot where I swear to God it looked like they forgot to put his leg inside of that thing.
I think they did.
I was sitting there looking at it so hard, being like, please tell me that that's not what I'm seeing. Please tell me that this thing is just really wide.
So the device, for those of you who aren't initiated, it's essentially 2 to 3 circles with bolts going through them. Mm-hmm. What they use this for is, it's common now for, like, when they do, like, kids whose legs are uneven. What they do is break the legs, and then use this to lengthen the bone. Mm-hmm. And they do it over a gradual time, so eventually it lengthens it out to the same as the other leg. So it's basically, it's concentric circles across, plates on going across, and then there's bolts where they bolt it into the bone that helps it to kind of stretch it, which I'm sure is extremely painful. But yeah, he's right. There's one scene where it's raised up, and you don't see anything.
No.
at all.
No. I mean, I think we're supposed to be distracted because that's a scene where Fred Thompson comes in.
Senator Thompson!
To whoop some ass into this little whining son of a bitch.
He does, man.
He does. Fucking man.
And I don't know if we're supposed to feel sorry for him through this movie and then feel relieved or rejoiced when he finds his purpose again.
Yeah, I assume so.
But
yeah.
his whininess over the entire fucking movie takes you so completely out of anything that you don't root for him.
And the dialogue is not helping.
The dialogue is terrible.
The dialogue is not helping because he narrates it too, and he says just for example, like when. All right, this is a taste of what pretty much all the dialogue is in the movie. When Kate Bosworth, who plays his wife, is looking out the window at the hospital and there's fireworks going off, the narration comes in and says, little did she know those were the only fireworks left in our marriage.
Like,
man!
What?
The fuck kind of line is that?
You're 20 days off of a fucking car wreck where you barely lived.
Yeah.
What fucking fireworks do you want? Concentrate on fucking surviving. Then you can go boner later. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Baby, tonight we're pushing the twin beds together.
I mean, I understand. I have a libido too. But at the same fucking time, I'm pretty sure I'm not thinking about sex while I'm laid up in a hospital bed with a fucking thing attached to my goddamn leg. I'm not thinking about sex. I'm in fucking pain, man. I'm pushing that morphine button for all my fucking
He seemed like he was thinking about sex. He was letting out more fucking blowjob sounds than the last 30 minutes of Behind the Green Door. Fuck. And he just, like, nothing about this really, like... I'll say this at the beginning when it's showing, like, their marriage. He and Kate Bosworth have better chemistry than him and Natalie Portman
This
did.
is true. They actually seem like they're married and they have a good marriage and they're happy and...
He's not... Kate Bosworth is fine enough with the material she's given. Like, there's some really shitty-ass lines that she has to say in this movie, like, that no one could possibly have said in real life. Stuff like, you may not be able to walk, but you can at least walk. It's a lot of metaphors. It's a lot of speaking in metaphors, like, you can at least put 1 foot forward on our marriage, or, you know, like, things like that. Like,
you can push away, you could take away your pain by pushing that button, but all you're doing is giving that pain to us.
Just real, like, Lifetime movie dialogue. Like, that's what this looks like. This looks like, I said earlier, it feels like it's the Asylum's version of Heaven is for Real, which honestly really is what this is.
Yeah.
But take Heaven is for Real out of this. This is written and looks like a Lifetime movie. Like, this is Lifetime movie dialogue. Hayden Christensen, like, he's probably mid to late 30s now, maybe, something like that, but he still looks...
I think so, yeah.
He still looks like he's 22, and when you put him in this goofy-ass Ned Flanders mustache, Ned Flanders sweater vest, and cardigans, and ties and shit, wow, you're really asking a lot of me, movie. Seriously, like, I buy it more that he's the chosen one, that he is... this guy who lives in Georgia who wears sweater vests and has elves living in his mustache and shit. God damn.
Oh, shit.
Marshall Bell plays his doctor. It was cool seeing him on screen again.
Yeah, that was random as fuck.
Yeah. I saw his name in the opening credits. I was like, oh man, last time I watched you in something, you're getting your ass whipped in the shower in Elm Street 2.
Oh, shit.
So this is just, I mean, I don't even, if you had to choose between this and War Room, I would honestly probably, only because it's more hilarious, I would say War Room. Like, War Room is a lot more incompetent than this movie, and the acting is a lot worse in War Room, and the jokes are worse. The dialogue is actually probably worse, too. So it's, alright, it's kind of like, it's kind of like saying, like, what would you rather pick, this movie or Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas? Well, this movie is technically better acted, but Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas is Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas.
It's fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
You want fucking batshit craziness out of this.
There's just nothing that makes me connect to this film in any way, shape, or form. Like, at least I could, like, I don't hate this movie. Like, at least I could hate Saving Christmas. It gave me a compass to focus. Mm-hmm. This movie is just an hour and a half of him whining and complaining because he's fucking alive. He lives, and he doesn't want it. Most people, I think, if they were got in a car accident as bad as he did, or this close to death and had died and came back, I'm pretty sure they'd be pretty fucking stoked.
Oh man, I wanted to still be in heaven. Never mind my wife and kids and shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd be like, okay, guess what? I'm confirmed that that's real. Great. Yeah. So at least I know I can get there. Now let's live my fucking life. Why would you not want to live your fucking life? That's a completely different thing I have with Christianity, is living to get into heaven. That's a completely different stupid fucking thing. But it's stupid. Live the life you have right now. Enjoy your life. Live life like there isn't anything. And then be pleasantly surprised when there is. You can worship. You can. You can believe all you want. But don't neglect your life here. That's what he did. He got to heaven and came back down and started to neglect what he actually had. And sure, he came back from it eventually, but why the fuck would you even be in that position to begin with?
And that is, like, really the only arc in this movie. It isn't from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. It's just kind of that middle hour and 40 minutes of him just... So it doesn't work as a movie about a guy learning to walk again, because Hayden Christensen isn't charismatic enough to kind of pull this off with being likable. So the character's really not that likable. The acting's not very good, and you just kind of have to see him poorly whining throughout a lot of the movie. So it doesn't really work on that end. It doesn't work as like a heaven movie, because that really only factors into like the last 15-20 minutes of the movie, and then in what it is saying about heaven and when it shows it, it's not in... I can't imagine if this movie is really trying to convert, or maybe someone who's kind of on the fence about faith and they want to kind of push them towards more so believing in this. I can't imagine that, because when you're seeing this on screen, it's no different than seeing really anyone talk about any kind of like maybe hallucination that they've had in some kind of near-death experience or anything like that. It's not something like, I met this person and I had no idea what they looked like, and I can point them out of like a picture out of like 12 or 13 pictures of different people. It's nothing like that. He's just up there and he sees some relatives and then he leaves. It's really only like a few minutes of this movie, so I don't think it really works in that regard. I mean, if there's one thing that I've learned from these movies, is that every single one of them certainly has an audience, and they're not, and it's not an audience that really gives a shit about acting, how the movie's made, how the movie's written, or anything like that. They really just want to see something that contains a bunch of elements of their faith. I mean, I see that
it's the message.
Yeah. So, of course, this movie is going to have an audience, because every single one of these movies does.
But even then, the message is piss poor.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
It's a terrible representation of faith.
Well, it's not as bad as War Room.
It doesn't sound like it is.
Even the message, even the message of the, like, War Room had a real, like, as hilarious as that movie is to see and to kind of riff on, that movie had actually a really pretty offensive message. This movie, it's not necessarily, I think, that maybe the message that that he has, at least when he wrote the book, is necessarily all that bad. It's just not conveyed well or dwelled upon very well in this movie.
You know, and I'm sure with the entire book, for him to espouse his ideas, it probably comes across a lot better. The problem is, this is the movie of his recovery, and it just the
recovery, yeah, there were the accident, the recovery, and all that really maybe should have been just the first half of this movie at the most, and then the rest of it dealing with
him trying to cope with this, tell people about it. Because I'm sure that, because the book was published, I think it said 2004.
Yeah.
Which was, what, 20...
Oh, after the accident?
Or 15 years after the accident. Is that right?
Oh, did you look up, by the way? That reminds me. Okay, this movie is taking place in 1989, and there's some stuff in it where it's like, yeah, okay, they've got the old, like, styrofoam containers and shit.
They did their homework and their reresearch.
Yeah, about McDonald's. And then, at, like, his daughter's
birthday party.
What song was that was
I
playing?
Hope You Dance.
Okay.
By, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Is it Leanne Womack, maybe? I can't remember.
I really don't think that song is 1989.
No, it's not. I don't think it is.
I seem to recall that being more, like, you even said this too, like, for around when we were in, like, high school.
Yeah, because I thought it was like I thought it was, I think. I mean, unless there was an earlier version, but I thought it was...
Well, maybe some late 80s, early 90s dance
Maybe it was
songs,
a Dolly Parton and they just covered it, and since I fucking can't stand country, I just didn't know about it.
Maybe that was just the most appropriate dance song they could find. Because you go into late 80s, early 90s songs that have the word dance in it. Like, it probably would be inappropriate if, like, Everybody Dance Now is playing. Or
I think that's a great song.
Oh, I agree.
Great fucking message.
I completely agree. Totally. Hell yeah. The movie's playing when he's dancing with his daughter, which is why this song is playing that has the word dance in it. But this feels really anachronistic to me.
It is. I'm pretty sure. I mean, unless, I don't know. If my phone wasn't dead, I'd check it out. But
I know. If I wasn't using my phone to have the light on, then yeah, I would totally check it out too.
But yeah, I'm sitting there going, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know enough about that song, but I remember it being big, like around the time we were in high school. So I'm just like, does that, after all the effort you put into making this an era piece, getting all the McDonald's containers, making the hospital look like it was 89.
The cars, too.
The cars. And then you throw that song in there. I don't get it.
Yeah, same here. The only time that I really see something like that happen is when they just plain don't give a shit about anything in the movie. Like Dumb and Dumber that takes place in 86, and they're playing Ice Ice Baby, and there's modern cars and modern soda machines in the background. I mean, not that I mean, this movie, like, okay, at least something as awful as War Room is, I'm sure the Kendrick brothers who made it at least believe somewhat in what they're talking about. This movie really does feel like it's made for purely cynical reasons. Like, just because something like Heaven is for Real did fairly okay at the box office, and that's why they made this movie. This is so cheap looking, it's so cheesy, it's so poorly written, it seems really just slapped together. So even the poster for this movie looks like an Asylum box cover. Yeah. Like the same kind of coloring, the same kind of lettering you see on those. Like it just
And speaking of that fucking poster, whose fucking idea was it to release this goddamn movie on September 11th? You fucking serious? And what is it, Hope?
Hope Lives.
Hope Lives, September 11th. You fucking really, you're really gonna do that?
Well, that's not, yeah, but this is 1989. They didn't know what September 11th was.
Yeah, let's use that fucking excuse. Just how fucking off the mark can you be?
Well, better release this movie today than, like, The Walk. Wouldn't that be something? That's balls, man.
At least that's fucking inspirational. I mean, that's more inspirational than this fucking movie was. I think that'd be a fucking awesome movie. Hey, Al Qaeda, fuck you! Here's a guy walking across the World Trade Center. What are you gonna do about it now? Can't back it down again, dumbasses. I mean, fuck, seriously? That actually looks like a decent flick.
That does look like a good
Joseph
movie.
Gordon-Levitt looks fucking crazy again.
Yeah.
He's the king of messing his face up now with makeup and shit ever since Looper. But
I'm
I
also
mean,
looking forward to the 3D in that. That's going to make me really nervous.
oh shit, that'll be crazy. But I mean, I don't know that I would have as big a problem with that as I did this poster on this thing. Because of the subject material. I don't think, no, it wouldn't bother me as much. I'd kind of be like, maybe not, guys. But at least they're not trying to use such a tragedy to be like, oh, there's still hope there. Fuck you! How does this car have anything to fucking compare to two towers getting knocked down and killing thousands of people? It fucking doesn't. Don't use it. Release it some other time. Seriously, just
You gotta get it in.
hope is hope. God's God. September 11th has no.
Hope is just strictly a 9/11.
It is. We never had hope until 9/11.
Nope. I don't know if you could tell. It's starting to rain out there. Whatever. I don't care. I don't.
That's God pissed off at us now. Fuck you, heaven isn't real. I'll show you.
This happened the last time I saw a Shyamalan movie. After Earth, it was storming out at that. It was storming during
After Earth.
I Think I Love You Too. What the fuck was that Kevin Hart movie that I saw? That was fucking horrible. It was one of the worst movies I saw last year.
Is it a sequel?
Yeah,
I think I Love You.
I Think I Love You Too.
Yeah.
Some shit like
T-O-O. Clever.
But you know it's good when it's the T-O-O on there.
The only
it's not
thing,
just good, it's
the
Luke
only
who's talking
fucking thing
too
I can
good.
stand Kevin Hart in is the Madden 15 commercial. That's about fucking it. And that's fucking brilliant.
Those commercials played a lot in front of the videos. Like I got, those commercials got old quick for me.
I tell you what, I didn't like this new one. But I liked watch Kevin Hart smack Dave Franco across the face. And just his look of shock. And then that damn song. Madden season is the reason my hand touched your face.
Oh, God, I regularly had that memorized at one point. I don't know what I'd rather have had back. That or that one where that was playing constantly. That was the PS4 commercial with the two guys going like, "Oh, it's such a perfect day."
Oh, yeah, the Lou Reed.
Yeah.
I'm glad
played
I spent it with
so
you.
long. Oh my God. Like 3 months that one was playing.
It makes me want to get a PS4 though.
I
want to sing Perfect Day all the fucking time while I'm killing people. That'd be awesome. Oh, shit.
I really got no more fun. I mean, my final word on this is just, it's not even as a bad movie. Like, I could at least say, like, War Room, get some drinks and some friends. You'll laugh your ass off at this. This movie, no, this was a chore to sit through.
It's a slog. I mean, it's like...
This was rough.
They didn't need to do as much as they did with him in the hospital.
No.
They very easily could have... Because it completely kills the message. Like, you can't just slap on the last 20 minutes and be like, oh, yeah, well, here's what happened. I went to heaven, and then he's talking to a congregation, the real-life minister's talking to a congregation now from a few months back they filmed it. It's like, no. Like, I want to see you... Like, if you want me to be inspired, I want you going and touching the lives of these people with your story. I don't want to see you whine and complain for an hour and a half, and then the last 20 minutes decide, okay... Let's do this.
Could easily cut a half hour out of this movie. Easily, you could cut that much out of this movie. So skip it. Instead, I go into the visit now.
Yeah, go for it, man. This sounds fun.